Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. As you see what's going on a lovely island of Fawnhollow today, where we'll be relaxing as per usual. You know what's the most exciting one? Maybe not, but most exciting thing which is happening today. That's perhaps a bit of an exaggeration. But an exciting thing, which is, well, maybe it is the most exciting thing which is happening today. Now I think about it, it's not like today's been particularly extraordinary. Is that this might be the final session that me and my friends have of Baldur's Gate 3. Ooh, I'm not going to spoil anything, obviously. You know, I'll have an episode talking about Baldur's Gate 3 eventually. I'm not sure if necessarily it'll be tomorrow. It might be the day after tomorrow. We'll see. But hello, everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow at 6:03 p.m. on Wednesday, January 17th, 2024. Where it's like, oh, shooting star, sure. You know, we've been playing this Baldur's Gate 3 campaign for ages now, but basically, I think almost since release. I'm not quite sure if it's quite since release, so it must have been like a couple of months. And it's coming to a head. It's coming all to an end, and honestly, that's pretty cool. It's been a fantastically fun time, and if anything, I think it's sort of like good timing wise anyway, because now Baldur's Gate 3 campaign coming to an end, the Dungeons and Dragons campaign, which I'm trying to work out, is getting started. It's still work in progress, obviously, like not all the details about like how things are going to work in the world are completely ironed out. I've basically got the structure, I think, of everything, but you know, things obviously still need names. Some other things I need to think about, like in more specific detail, because that's like what they'll be interacting with. What I mean by like is like the town they start in needs to be more fleshed out, and maybe some neighbouring towns as well. Some potential ideas need to be thrown about. But right now it's sort of like getting to a stage where I have all like the base elements here. Is now I need to actually start incorporating, you know, the players and characters, because as interesting as my world may be by itself, which, you know, I don't know if it's even that amazingly interesting. I think it's fine. I'm not, but I don't think I'm like amazingly great at like world building or lore necessarily. I think I tend to be a lot better with character interactions, but now, you know, I've opened up the server to a few people who I know definitely want to play, and we're starting discussions on their characters. So far, I think I've got, let's see, I've got basically outlines of 4 out of 6 characters. Whoa. And then one of our characters is a complete mystery, who even knows, and the other character is one where I have an idea of what they want to do, but, you know, there's not been any discussion about it yet. But three of the characters, there's been a lot of discussion, honestly, already. Well, two of them a lot, and one of them, you know, just started today, because I had a cool idea for them, and it's fun. It's fun seeing, you know, what my friends obviously want to do, what they want to play, and, you know, it's about coordinating the ideas of what they envision in their mind with how making sure, for one, I interpret it correctly. I like we're aligned on exactly what they want and what I think they want, and then, you know, being able to incorporate this in a natural way, I suppose, into the game itself, so that everyone has a good fun time. I will say that all my friends have like pretty interesting characters, I will say, thus far. So, you know, we're off to a roaring start. But yeah, it's interesting seeing this sort of like campaign coming to a close, and it's like, oh, now maybe new one starting, and especially I suppose it's more interesting for me because now I'm doing it from the storytelling seat rather than necessarily the player seat, which I don't know. I'm not going to say I'm like scared for it or anything. Like, I mean, scared you would usually reserve for things where like there's actual like consequences for failure, I suppose. At least the way I would use scared, and maybe that sort of taps into like a fear of failure or something, which I don't know. We're not going down the Dear Darling TV tropes page right now, but what I was saying is like it's an interesting sort of apprehension to it. Obviously, I've not done it before, and obviously I want my friends to have a good time. Like, you know, it's nice that the worst consequence of failure is it's boring, I suppose, if anything, or it's not as interesting as I made out to be. I think it's hard. I think it would be hard to hit that like floor. Like, I think I'd actively have to try to make it hit that floor, because at the end of the day, it's just, you know, a group of us friends hanging out. I don't see why that couldn't be anything but at least kind of fun, right? But yeah, I mean, I think I've got my core group of players already. I don't know if I'm going to... I will probably expand at some point to allow like either a second session to start as well or something, or like people to drop in and out. I don't know, because like 6 characters already is probably more than a novice DM should probably have DM for. Maybe it's kind of like on the limit. I think I'd probably go up to 8, but like with a caveat, like if I go up to 8, then some people are gonna have to be pretty okay with taking a backseat, I suppose, story element wise for a while. Not that they can't interact with each other, but you know, just understand that is that what people are happy with, or is it a sort of thing where people, you know, should be in mix and match? But I don't know. I think we'll just start with a 6 for now, to be perfectly honest. Like these were definitely the 6 people who are most passionate about it in the first place. And apologies to any of my friends who may be watching who are like, oh, I wanted in on that action as well. Then, you know, you can hop in and out, I suppose, here and there. That I will certainly have to figure out. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say about this, to be perfectly honest. Oh, yeah, so the planning's going interesting. Now it's more dynamic group planning, I suppose, if anything, rather than just me and myself thinking of ideas. You know, I'm starting to find out, like, on hearing new things from people about like what they want and what the sort of things that they think would be part of their story. I'm just like, oh, you know, now I'm changing things, I'm adjusting things here and there, being like, all right, let's try and steer this in a general good for us all direction, I suppose. Which is perhaps a very vague way to describe it, but nonetheless, here we are. Don't turn away now. I say as I turn away, because I need to check something that quickly. Is everything A-okay? I think so. Oh, I just dropped something there. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It feels like it's happening, you know. It feels very much as I often like to say, it's the closing of one chapter for the start of the next chapter, which, you know, normally you use that for much more grandiose things, I think, in your life, rather than just like, oh, you know, potential RPG-esque sessions, which is sort of like, I don't know. It's not to say that it isn't a chapter closing and opening, but I suppose giving it this sort of sense of grandeur with it is a bit misleading in a way. It's perhaps not exactly what people would think about when they're like, oh yeah, this is what the end of an era is like, because it's not really an era, I suppose. Well, it certainly is a thing which spanned multiple months. I mean, maybe the actual D&D campaign itself will feel like an era. You know, I have heard stories of people who are like, I've been playing this D&D campaign for like 3 years or something, and I'm like, what? 3 years? That's crazy. But one, how did you get a group to manage to meet up so consistently for 3 years? That's the most insane part, I think. How long are the Critical Role campaigns? How long do they go on for? A couple of years, maybe? I don't really know. I should look into that. Like, I should think about like how timing-wise, level-wise, things are going to be spaced out and that sort of thing. I don't know if people are in it for the long haul for 2 years, but we're at least going to be in it for a bit of a while, just to have an ickle bit of fun, right? And if not, then so be it. Hold on, need to check. I think, you know, I'm just going to pause. Hold on. And unpause. But yeah, I mean, it's honestly been a fantastically fun time, I suppose, playing through Baldur's Gate 3. So, if anything, I suppose, capitalizing upon this hype, capitalizing upon this sort of thing where people are like, oh yeah, let's get excited now, I suppose, for the next thing. You know, people hopefully bring in sort of energy where like, yeah, we can all get behind this, right? At least that's my hope. We'll see exactly how that works out necessarily, but sure, it's not hard. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. Yeah, what else was I going to say? Oh, I see some of my friends have responded to my messages. I'll have to have a look at them later. Yeah, I don't know. I will say, you know, I don't know if I'm going to do 2 campaigns. I don't know if I can do 2 campaigns. You know, part of me feels like I should start with 1, but then part of me is also like, I'm sure a lot of people are actually quite interested in playing this sort of campaign thing. I don't want to, like, you know, exclude. It's, I suppose, a deficit of having such a large friend group. But also, you know, as I said before, I feel like our friend group's pretty good at like understanding that not everyone has to do everything together. Things will be opportune moments, I suppose, for trying things here and there, but not necessarily. Celeste is here. When does Celeste start walking about? Is it 8 PM? I thought you started walking at 6. I might have. No, I'm getting you confused with Kiki Slider, I think. Let's see. New Horizons Celeste? When does she start walking about? New horizons. Meteor shower occurs during the night. That's highly vague and not informative, I would say. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say, to be perfectly honest. Where was I going with this? I'm sure I had some reasoning, something to continue on of what I was going to do, but honestly, maybe I don't. Yeah, I don't know what else to talk about. Baldur's Gate 3 coming to a close. You know, it does sort of bring me back to when Divinity Original Sin 2, when we finished that campaign and that came to a close as well. That was quite like a sort of grandiose moment. It was a fun time, to be honest. Hopefully had by all. But it's the sort of thing where it's just like, I'm sure it leaves you with a sort of sense of like, what do you do now? You know, I mean, I feel like I do read stories about people talking about their D&D campaigns and that sort of, well, not necessarily D&D campaigns of stuff in general, and then being like, oh, you know, that sort of, whenever something finishes, I suppose there's always that feeling of, well, what do I do now? You know, after a good book, a good movie, a good game, anything like that. Sorry, I'm still just checking something over here. Okay, well, I'll deal with that later. I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, whenever something, like, finishes, you know, you get that sort of sense of sadness, I suppose, which comes afterwards, being like, oh, what do I do now? Like, that's it, you know? I think it's both a good thing and, well, obviously it's a bad thing in the sense that I suppose it is tied with a negative emotion in the first place, but it's a good thing that you get to feel those sort of emotions, I think, in the first place. Out of these, cookies, chocolate, or ice cream? I guess chocolate. I'm not like crazy about cookies, and I'm definitely not all that crazy about ice cream. Maybe in summer I'm like, yeah, ice cream's nice, but ice cream's kind of mostly nice because it's cold, if anything. Chocolate, I would say, yeah, I would say I like chocolate, you know? I wouldn't say I go crazy for chocolate. I'm not a chocoholic or anything like that. I just like chocolate. Which I think is probably the normal human reaction. Maybe I don't really know. But some chocolates I certainly do like a lot more than others. But I don't know. I certainly could not eat like a lot of chocolate at once, I suppose. There's a limit, is what I mean to say. I forgot where I was going with any of this. This conversation is so all over the place. Yeah, when something just like gets to the end, it's an interesting feeling. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. It's a good feeling, right? Because, you know, it's a sort of, I guess I kind of subscribe to the idea of like, you know, be happy that it happened, I suppose, right? Those sad feelings that you capture after something good is, you know, just there, I suppose, if anything, to lend a contrast to what happened before. And you shouldn't, excuse me, use it as a way to dissuade yourself from chasing those feelings further. You know, it's sort of like a inevitability, and one which is a good inevitability, if anything. It's something where it's like, yeah, I'm glad I'm feeling sad about this because that meant I felt so happy about this while it was happening, right? Oh my god. This would probably be a more impactful thing if this was like, wow, this is the last Animal Crossing episode ever happening. It's not. Mind you. it's continuing on for the foreseeable future. I'm just sort of, I don't know, I guess I'm quite like a melancholic person in the sense of like how my thoughts and emotions. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. as evidenced by what I was saying before, happy and sad, they you know, two sides of the same coin. Well, maybe not two sides of the same coin, but definitely two sides of the coin. Of some coins, of some related coins. Maybe they're two sides of the same. Two sides of two quantum entangled bits. What did I say? Quantum computing, anyone? Quantum computing. Getting more and esoteric by the day with the people I try and target with my audience, which is, I don't know. My target audience is anyone who would listen to my ramblings. So, you know, I don't know if that's casting a wide net or a narrow net, to be perfectly honest. Anyway, sorry. End of moments, like end of campaigns, these sort of things. It's an interesting feeling. I'm not sure if I feel that sort of same level of like sadness or exhaustion at the idea that the Baldur's Gate campaign, I suppose, is ending. I'm not sure if I should necessarily, to be honest. Not that like I'm happy to see it go or anything. Like I had an absolutely wonderful time playing it in the first place, but I think now, I suppose, my attitude towards these things as I get older has shifted to now be one of like appreciation for what's come. Now I've like reframed my mind to think of things in that way, such that I no longer look at it and be like, oh, I'm sad that it stopped. It's like I'm glad it happened situation, which I'm not saying that's how you should always think of things. I think there's definitely a time and place for, you know, sadness of things ending. But I mean, I think for moments like this, it's I guess it's the fact that, yeah, I know there's more to come. Keeps me sort of like hopeful for it, keeps me excited for it, rather than making me feel down about something. I wonder how much that plays into it, you know? Psychology is such a fascinating subject to me. Would I study psychology? I can see myself in an alternate timeline studying psychology. Totally. I find it fascinating, the human mind, you know. I mean, I suppose when I say it like that, it does kind of make me sound like a mad scientist, which is not really what I meant, but I don't know. It's a sort of like, the way we react, the way we perceive, the way we change as human beings. All these visceral things we feel, emotions. They are, I suppose, by not maybe by literal definition, but more like by our own understanding and definition, what make us human, no? I don't think that should be something to be rejected so much as something which should be celebrated and, if anything, understood as well. Maybe understanding should be a second priority, though, to the celebration part of it. Maybe that's up to you, I don't really know. Yeah, I don't know. End of a campaign. So, well, I don't know. I guess the part that makes me happiest about it is the fact that it's come to the natural end of the campaign is over because it's reached the story conclusion. It's not a campaign of like, oh, it finished because, you know, we couldn't find time anymore to continue playing and it slowly fizzled out, or like, oh, we all ended up hating each other and we never wanted to speak again. It's the best possible ending, I guess. Which is why it sort of lends so well to happiness, maybe bittersweet, melancholic, I don't know. So I had done a D&D campaign before, which very much or two of them, which had just sort of fizzled out because, well, the first one people just got too busy and then, you know, we just never like revived it again, and the second one was kind of a similar sort of thing. I also think some of the friendships, not my friendships necessarily, got kind of like weirdly fizzled out, and it, you know, it just never got brought up again. But anyway, I'm going to round this episode up here, I think. I wonder what the last episode of Animal Crossing is going to be like. Not to put like a melancholic spin on it, I suppose, now, but if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.